clearly there are geopolitical issues at play here, particularly given Ukraine, where the UK and the US don't want to drift apart because of decisions that have been made in the United States about subsidizing industry, which the UK, which is in a less powerful position economically for all sorts of reasons, not least of which is an economy a sixth the size of the United States, the UK can't replicate. So I think what the British side in the negotiations here, the Prime Minister and the Foreign Secretary, are going to want to do is to try to ensure that the trade relationship between the US and the UK doesn't do the kind of harm to UK competitiveness, particularly in green industries, that many commentators have said it could do.
Speaking about the war in Ukraine, how has the alignment of interests militarily between the UK and the US helped improve the state of the relationship between those two nations?
Well, I think that the relationship is very close. I mean, obviously, the United States-UK relationship going back for a very long period, certainly through the last Second World War and beyond, has been very close, and with other allies, including Australia and Canada and New Zealand. So there is an alignment of interest. I think the alignment between Rishi Sunak, the current Conservative Prime Minister in the UK, and the Biden administration will be a very close one on these issues. I mean, I think they will have many similar views. And the paradox of what's happened in Ukraine is that it has forced NATO allies, and the US and UK being leading nations within NATO, to come together and to think about that alliance and spending on defense in a way that hasn't happened for a long time.
The relationship with China, that has emerged as a hot button issue, particularly if you look at it through the lens of the US's relationship with the EU. The EU are taking more of a realpolitik approach to China than the US are. Where does UK stand in the middle of those two?
Well, it's a good word, in the middle. I mean, in a sense, obviously much smaller power, as I've said, though still an important one with a role, at the United Nations and with a long trading history. And I think that the more hawkish attitude in the United States towards China and less hawkish, perhaps a little, in the EU. I mean, I think the UK and Prime Minister Sunak and indeed the opposition parties in Britain have to have a pragmatic relationship with China. China is a major and important trading partner for the West. And against that backdrop, I think there are hawks in Britain who think that the UK government should be tougher on China. But I think the reality is that China still has an important role diplomatically and as a massive trading partner. And so, I think as in many things, the UK position and Rishi Sunak's position is going to be an attempt at what the British have always tried to do diplomatically, and that's be some kind of a bridge.